There it goes. Hello, everybody. This is my first live chat that I'm hosting. As many chats as I've been on, this is actually the first chat that I've hosted. Um, and I had the honor and privilege of having Matt from Resist to Tyranny. We have Pop's Quest on here, Mike DeLucia, and I am Shammer. And thank you guys. I don't really have a format. Damn it, fucking rookie. I had my damn didn't turn the volume down. Uh, no format. We may even not even talk about politics. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We might talk about hot rods. I don't know. We're just going to talk. So hopefully everybody enjoys it, and I'll go ahead, Matt. Introduce yourself, and I'll just go down the line from the way I see it.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on, TR. Thanks for having me on your show. I have you on my show. It's about time. No, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. I'm Matt from Resist to Tyranny here on YouTube, resisttyranny.com. Again, thanks for having me on, TR, and let's just see where this goes, right?
Exactly. And Pop's Quest, which he said this was his first chat. So thank you, sir, for being in my first chat. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled in here, so I've never done a chat. I don't know how this thing works, and I'll probably screw up a bunch. But my YouTube channel is Pop's Quest, and small family business, and I'm prepared.
All right, he was breaking up a little bit, but Pop's Quest, look him up. Great guy, great channel. And anyway, Mike, you're next, buddy. Yeah, turn your mic off, Mike.
You're muted.
Am I the only one that hears that echo?
All right, now go ahead.
Am I the only one that hears that echo?
I don't hear it.
All right, it's got to be me then. I haven't. Anyway, Mike DeLucia, how are you? My mic is off. Anyway, I run the Friday Night Quagmire chat, usually with Ohio Wolverine, and and a small bushcraft channel on my own channel. But thanks for having me on your first chat, TR. That's excellent. Appreciate it, pal.
All right, Shammer, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Shammer, and I just realized we're live. I didn't know we're going live, and I looked and I saw this was the Conundrum. So hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was even the Conundrum. So we're winging it. So help TR figure out what we're going to talk about, because I don't think any of us know.
Well, Johnny did say to apologize for him. He just got in from being out of town, and that's why he's not hosting this tonight. And I was like, well, screw it, I'll throw something up, and we'll talk about something. I don't know what, but something.
Let's talk about how guy's been out of town for a little bit and just gets home and can't do a chat yet a particular person that comes on my chat all the time like doubles the speed limit in order to make it home on time in order to do the chat, the Resist to Tyranny Sunday chat. You wouldn't happen to know who that is, TR, would you?
TR comes to your house on Sundays?
No, but I drove 100 miles an hour down a fucking mountain trying to get home in time to be on Matt's chat. I was like, oh shit, I gotta go, I gotta go. And Johnny did go home to two women, so there's two women living at his house. So he's a
Ugh.
busy man.
Ugh.
The American dream.
Something like that.
Or a Muslim without goals.
Wow.
Well, Matt did bring up a little bit of a political subject about the marriage thing that went down, and we can talk about that a little bit, I guess, or a lot. Hell, it don't matter to me. Um, about how if it's translated the same across the board, it could, bring about more gun rights, more not concealed carry gun rights. I can't say the word. Yeah, I can't say it.
Reciprocity.
Yeah, that's it. I am from the South. So go ahead, Matt.
Oh no, if any of you are familiar with my channel, you'll probably see it come up in your news feed or your Google Plus or even Facebook feed sometime tonight or tomorrow. But I just did a video about how the reasoning behind the Supreme Court's ruling, or the reasoning that the Supreme Court used to justify their ruling for the 50 state mandating that all 50 states legalize gay marriage. You can also take that for 50 state reciprocity as well and use the same exact reasoning based upon and I'd really have to go open up the article and video again, but basically is based upon the wording of the 14th Amendment. If used the same way that the Supreme Court used it for gay marriage, should make concealed carry have 50 state reciprocity with every state, including D.C.
Well, and there's kind of some laws about that already. I mean, like a driver's license. If you have a driver's license in South Carolina, California recognizes it. Why shouldn't they recognize my concealed weapon permit?
That's a valid point as well. Now, like the guy who wrote the article, it was an article from Bearing Arms. I've seen it floating around Facebook a little bit. The Midwest Misfit is who sent it to me originally, but since then I've seen it on Facebook a couple times. Seen it on G+. But yeah, it's a valid. I mean, not only is your argument valid, but again, we may have case law working for us in this particular situation. Fresh new case law saying, "Oh, look what you did. Guess what we get to do now?" And I'm really thinking that it would take, a motivated person. I said this in the video. A motivated person that writes well, speaks well, and knows legal jargon. That would be the biggest thing, and knows legal jargon to put together some sort of a petition or case for this. Which, if Bearing Arms is talking about it right now, I'm sure there's somebody out there, whether it's Gun Owners of America, NRA, or whatever, is probably already on top of that.
What do you think, Pops?
Well, let's see if the microphone's working better now. I lowered the bandwidth. I don't know if that helped. I guess reciprocity is just all about, someone allowing you to do something in their state. I mean, I believe in states' rights. I don't like federal laws. So there's a part of me that understands that each state has the right to make their own laws, and I'm more in tune to abide in state laws than I am federal laws. I mean, I've always said that I break as many laws as I can. without going to jail or offending another person. But I always respect state laws. But if somehow some precedents could be set to put that in gun owners' favor, I think that's a good thing.
Well, I think you make a valid point. We all eh, we all want state rights. I think us in general as constitutionalists, we believe in states' rights, and if the state you live in doesn't represent your morals or values, you have the right to leave that state and go to another state. I know that don't seem feasible for some people, but I think if you really read the letter of the law, that's kind of what we believe. And
Yeah, it, it's
so
it's it's happening a lot. Most of my clientele that have a considerable amount of money, particular neighborhoods where we work, um, that I immediately get their cell phone number, to communicate with them, and for are up in the tyrannical United States woods, if you will, and it's interesting. I'm watching them leave, and I think but part of me wonders what their baggage they're bringing with them, but I think it's a good thing they're using their feet to vote. I think that's what you got to do. Your wallet and your feet. That's a vote that you don't have to show up on a particular day to take. You just do it.
yep. You popped in and out there a little bit on me at least. I hope you didn't for everybody else. But yeah, I mean, if you don't like what your state's doing, leave it. Go to another state. It may not be a viable option, but that's the whole point. You know, why did the Mormons move to Utah? Because they were, you know, welcome to their beliefs and welcome them to, hey, you can do this here, you can do that, whatever you want to do, bam, here you go. And that's why they moved there. Um, that I think that was the whole point, unless I missed the point. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
I'd like to comment on something from the chat room here. Unraveling the Matrix says the U.S. government can pass laws however they like. It is up to the governor of your state to decide if your state wants to abide by those laws. There is a yes and no there. As long as the federal law is constitutionally sound, follows the Constitution, it has supremacy over all state laws. That a state cannot make a law overriding a federal law as long as the federal law is constitutional. And so, but on this, in the same notion, there are some laws that states can make that the federal government can't touch because the federal government can't make laws about that in the first place. They've tried to do it over and over again. An example of what unraveling the matrix is talking about, it could be marijuana laws. Now, as far as I'm concerned, marijuana laws are not constitutional. And I believe that's why the states that have legalized it are getting away with it, because the government knows that their marijuana laws are freaking stupid and shouldn't be there to begin with. However, there are federal laws. There's so many to choose from, but no, there are federal laws that the state can't overturn. It's just not within the state's rights to do that. With that being said, states try it here and there, and they do things, but Yeah, we're seeing it with guns too, by the way, like the Firearms Freedom Act. Um, when it comes to uh, um, Class 3 weapons and uh, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here, but like full autos and suppressors and things of that nature, where if they're bought and sold inside the state, manufactured inside the state, the federal government can't make you, fill out the tax form and so on.
Well, I think that was the point of the Constitution, that we were independent states. The way I see it, at least, we were independent states, almost our own country, but not quite. We all agreed to be part of this union as a country, and as long as the individual states didn't step on the people's basic rights, and the way I understand it and the way I interpret it, the federal government was just there to make sure the states didn't step on the individual's right in whatever state, their basic rights, their right to whatever religion, their freedom of speech, their right to a firearm, the right to assemble, to, regress the government or whatever. And that was basically the sole purpose of the union, the federal government, was to make sure the states didn't step out of bounds. Other than that, the states could do whatever they wanted. That's the way I interpret it.
Now, as far as I mean, I think we can all agree that any law against certain gun ownership is unconstitutional, according to the wording of the Second Amendment, which I know we've all said it at least once. Shall not be infringed is pretty freaking clear. And part of the problem is the Supreme Court and the government deciding, being able to gauge what an infringement is. It's kind of like the Fourth Amendment, because I know that TR, you and Shammer agree so much on the Fourth Amendment, it's worth bringing up. But the government decides what is reasonable suspicion. Well, I mean, let's face it, that's kind of like the cops investigating themselves. If they want to spy on you, they've already got the answer. They're going to do everything they can to make the equation fit their answer. So of course they're going to find reasonable suspicion, and if not, they're going to make up a new law that fits their definition of reasonable suspicion. And that's the problem with what's happened with guns, is everything, from full auto, suppressed, the whole 9 yards. All of that is unconstitutional because it's an infringement on your ability to carry a firearm. Equal that to a standing army. That's the spirit of the Constitution. That's the spirit of the Second Amendment, and what our founders thought of when they were thinking firearms.
Yeah, wasn't it Bill Clinton that tried to define what is? I mean,
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
so yeah, it's all in the wording, and the word may mean, or the phrase may mean something to you. All they have to do is define it, and then pass a law so that their definition works, basically. And that's why we keep fighting. It's a shame.
Yeah, and I think the founders were really smart people, and I think they laid it out in pretty plain English, even for our time, their time, or whatever else. But yet lawyers have, somehow, and the tragedy is the Supreme Court, which it was founded for, which was part of the Constitution, give in to it, how it's manipulated. It's like it's in plain English. It's in black and white. Yet you allow it to be misconstrued and twisted and uh, you know, like Matt said, shall not be infringed. To me, that's plain and simple. You cannot infringe it. Period. If you do anything to restrict it, you're infringing on it. That is the whole definition of infringe. You can't touch it. You can't mess with it. But yet they done it. And unfortunately, basically, we've allowed them to do it. Not me and you in our time, but throughout history.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat room. There's at least 3 RTT shows where we discussed what, Chamber?
Oh, somebody wanted to hear our disagreements on the Fourth Amendment, so I just referred them to your channel. It's not hard to find.
Oh, yeah,
At least one of them we discussed it for like 20 minutes. I'd rather talk about something new.
Yeah, me and Chammer just utterly hate each other. That's why I invited him to the chat.
Well, here, I don't want to get into it, but and I think my view disagrees with most people's, but I think the consensus of it is this. My disagreement compared to most people's is on the term and use of surveillance. We don't really go into search and seizure that much. We do a little bit, but our main disagreement has to do with surveillance, so it shouldn't be hard to find that. That's all I got.
I had something I was going to bring up, but damn it, we got on that subject, and I can't remember what it was now.
Well, you could ask Space Buns, but I'm pretty sure I know what she's going to say. 4th of July.
Yeah, 4th of July.
And then she'll hit you upside the head.
Yeah. Hey.
No, I think it's good when and Justin does make a good case that if the panel disagrees a little bit about something, I mean, we don't have to hate each other over it, but if we have a little bit of a disagreement and a debate on something to see different views, it actually makes for a better chat. And he is right. I'm not going to disagree just to disagree, but sometimes, I mean, it is good to hear different opinions and different views and different vantage points on things.
Well, I think where that one of the things about that is, if you go back to when American Warning was on air, Resist the Tyranny. As far as I've been able to tell, the Conundrum, the Quagmire, whatever, that there are a number of chats out there that are really good about people on the panel that are able to disagree, get off air, and still be friends. You know, and then there are a couple chats out there, relatively popular chats amongst our circles, where you're pretty much like shunned for life, you know, and demonized forever if you have a disagreement with them. And they're part of the problem. They really are when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I have disagreed with many people I've been in chats with, and but yet I'm still friends with them. How can you not have a little? Go ahead.
TR, that chat that you were in last night, that was, you know, I'm a history buff, but I'm no historian. I'm the last person that, you know, should probably try to speak accurately about things, but I really appreciate the way you handled that. And I know there was some disagreement there, but it was healthy. It was good. And you know what's funny is I've seen arguments happen big when people are so close together on something, but they're not quite exactly thinking the same thing. But when you're arguing with someone that you're so far apart in principle and theory with, it's almost like there's less of an argument. But the closer you get, and there's just that little bit that you're missing, it's almost like you try harder to bring the person over. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny.
I have to do that all the time with TR.
But see, I think you used a really good word there, Pops, which was arguing. Arguing and debating are, in my opinion, way different things. We debate a lot of things. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. A lot of times we do agree. There's a reason we're all on the same panels together, because like-minded people have a tendency to gravitate to each other. But when there is a disagreement, it is a debated thing. It's not an argued thing. Argued thing is when you start yelling over each other, and one person calls the other an idiot and then storms off the chat, whatever. That sort of bullshit.
Yeah, I was using the term argument more in the lawyer sense, where this person has an argument and this person has an argument, but you're using it more as in context of a confrontation where people actually get pissed, and that's different, right? So I understand.
Debating is a healthy form of arguing.
Yeah, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah,
I
agree.
enjoy that. I enjoy that.
Yeah,
And
me and Delaware,
more so
we
when I'm
disagreed.
drinking.
Yeah, me and Delaware disagreed, but at the same time, neither one of us got pissed off, even though we did talk over each other a little bit, and then there for a moment, for a little bit, and then I calmed down, and then both of us got over it, and I apologized, and we were just trying to get each other's point brought apart, across, and I I enjoy that. I really do. I enjoy a good debate, and that's one thing these chats have educated me with is a good debate. Like you guys saying, when the guy gets pissed off and mad as hell, and it's like, fuck that guy, I'm never going to talk to him again. Yeah, screw that. Don't be a baby. He don't have to agree with you, and you may not even ever agree with him. But don't be mad about it. They just have a different point of view. But if you discuss it with each other, maybe you both can learn something from each other. Anybody?
I was just admiring your shirt.
I disagree with that entirely.
I just noticed you had that shirt on.
Yeah, always. If I'm not advertising the TR Prepper shirt, I'm advertising Matt.
And I didn't even realize you had that on when I put this on before the show.
One of y'all needs to go change, obviously.
I'm gonna change this and have like the rebel flag inside the mask here.
Oh, nice.
I actually meant to go buy a rebel flag. I don't own a rebel flag, but I thought to get one. I just didn't do it to hang up for tonight, just to rebel and protest the protest against the rebel flag.
Now I know y'all talked in depth about that last night, but now they took that flag down from the state house. What, that was like 10 years ago or something like that? TR, isn't that about right?
Yeah, it was 2000, I think, is when they took it down.
Oh yeah, okay, longer. So the big move's already been made. They already took it from there to this little flag post way over here. So at this point, I don't really see, if it, I don't. The big move's already been made, so I don't know. Doesn't seem like a big deal to me, but it wasn't. I can't remember how I felt about it then. I really don't. So.
Well, the thing that a lot of people they don't know, um, is the fact that they moved that Confederate flag, and it's actually even a smaller little flag. It's on a
Hmm.
Confederate monument on the state grounds.
Right.
So if you're so against the rebel flag, how does not the Confederate memorial a offense too? You know, I mean, you're mixing things up, and I know we all are understand that just because some freaking idiot, flew the Confederate flag, that shouldn't throw us all in the same boat as, well, if you fly a Confederate flag, that means you stand for racism. That's just an idiotic freaking idea, and anybody that believes that is a fucking idiot. Um,
Yeah. Getting hung up on a flag when there's an entire memorial there. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't work. I watched a video today, The Truth If You Can Handle It. It was a mirrored video though, so I didn't go to the original channel. He might have 1 million subscribers. He might have two. I don't know the guy's name, but he was a country fella, and he was up on the side of a mountain. He was talking about um, just some pretty amazing things. And now I lost my train of thought, but um, uh, I guess it happens. I'll pick it up again.
You getting some of that old timers, are you?
Yeah. Oh, his point was that the biggest that they should ban the American flag, I guess, because there's been so much that the United States government is the largest um, terrorist organization on the planet, and to fly that flag should offend a lot of people. So it was kind of an interesting little point. The way he said it better than I did, but it was kind of an interesting little point.
well, I mean, if you get technical, the American flag, which, of course didn't have 50 stars on it then, that was the flag being flown for over 100 years, or maybe not 100 years, but yeah, and we had slavery. So this flag, if you're going to look at it like that, stood for slavery, because up until slavery was abolished, the American flag was flying on our country, since 1791 or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean it. And this is kind of where I thought last night's show was go going to go. Um, but like, I I've debated a couple what I call professional victims. Um, people who nothing ever happened to them, but they're always the victimized person because of another group, in their own minds at least. Where they talked about the Klan flying the Confederate flag, and the Klan used the U.S. flag as often, if not more often, than they used the Confederate flag. Um, the Confederate flag never flew over a slave ship. Neither did the United States flag. Um, if basically what it amounts to is if it's the Klan that is your reasoning behind wanting to, hating the Confederate flag, the rebel flag, then you probably ought to have more hatred towards the American flag. I'm not saying that you should. I'm just trying to put this in the perspective for some people out there, the easily offended, pussies out there. If it's slavery is the reason that you hate the Confederate flag, you need to put it into perspective, because you should probably be hating the British flag and Spanish flag more than the rebel flag, because those two flags flew over more slave ships than anybody and anything else in that time period as far as the slave trade with the United States. And while you're at it, if you are African American, you probably ought to hate your ancestors, because they're the ones who sold your other ancestors into slavery. And if you want to put it into more perspective, don't hate white people for slavery, because you probably ought to go to South America and bitch them a little bit, because they owned more slaves than we did.
I think it's a, I could be wrong. I think blaming past history is a cop-out. It is, if you're in a bad position in life, no matter what color or race you are, if you're blaming somebody else for your position, your bad situation, is a cop-out. I mean, I never, and it wasn't white privilege by no means, I never expected anybody to do shit for me. Everything I've done to progress my life and to excel in my life, I expect I'm the only one that I thought had responsibility for that. And if you rely on somebody else for your fortune, you will probably always be disappointed.
I'm offended.
Yeah, I look at a thing like the flag, and I also look at the thing like the gay marriage thing today as and I don't have any problem with gay people getting married. We actually have a gay couple in my family. I just look at it as it's okay to say it, to rule on something. It's not okay, but it happens that you rule on something as a law. But when you start to put a gun in my face, when I privately have made a decision that I don't recognize that gay marriage, or I privately want to fly anything, the Jolly Roger flag on my property, or anything on my property, when the gun barrels are pointed at me for doing something privately, that's the moment in time where we all have a big problem. It's sort of, to me, it seems like you're being cornered a little bit, and then when it gets to that level, that's when sort of seems like to me would be a time where we got a big problem on our hands. So, not that hadn't already happened. I'm just saying, as it progresses to that, ultimately, I think,
I take it this is about the rebel flag. Excuse me for being late to the party again.
Well, Pops brought up, the fact that he doesn't have a problem with the gay marriage thing, and I don't either. There's a part of me says they're stomping on states' rights, but however, constitutionally speaking, I don't see the problem. I mean, it's why can't two consenting adults, no matter what gender they are, get married? Number one, and number two, why is it my business, the state's business, or the federal government's business to begin with? That's pretty much my other stance. However, if they want to get married, fine. They can pay more taxes. They can lose half their shit in the divorce. They can, have the worst tax season of their lives. You know, if you've never been married, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have been, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I mean, if they want to go through that hell, fine. But yeah, not my business, not my thing, and it shouldn't be the state's business. And one thing where I'm going to have a really big problem, if this ruling comes out to where churches or private people who perform ceremonies are mandated to perform these weddings, I will have a big problem with it, because that's where the line for me would be crossed. Is mandating a private company. Let's face it, churches are private companies. Uh, Mandating a private company, whether it's you know, an individual who has a business, like, you know, some of these places in Vegas and you know, that sort of thing, or a church to mandate them to perform these ceremonies, even if they don't want to, then I'll have a big problem with it.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't. I, why should we ask the government who we can marry and who we can't to start with? You know, that was a big problem right there from the get-go. We should have never gave the power of marriage to the government. Why did we do that? You know, I mean, there
Marriage
was,
license, fishing license,
yeah.
this license, that license. I mean, that in of itself is just inherently wrong. I don't, you know, and you beg for the state to acknowledge your marriage so you can validate your love for someone through the state. No, I don't get that. We have an interesting family. I also have a brother-in-law and a sister-in-law that have been together forever and have never been married. I think that's amazing. You know, it's their commitment to one another, and that's awesome. So
Yeah, but I think what Matt was like Matt was saying, I mean, I don't care if whoever wants to be together, because whether or not they can be married or not, they're going to be together. If you force people to perform a ceremony, uh, that's a little bit different thing. But
right.
yeah, I mean, I guess you're touching on touchy
Yeah, no,
grounds there.
I feel the same way. The minute it's just like if you choose to not pay your taxes because you don't agree with the government spending your money on bombs, men with guns will show up at your door and let you know quickly that you're wrong and take you to jail or take your money or take your property. Anytime they show up and say you have to provide a cake or a place or or you have to officiate this wedding, or you have to do anything. I don't agree with that. No, not one bit. So if y'all didn't understand about that, I definitely do agree with that. That doesn't work for me at all. You know.
Well, I think you're a prime example of if it's not your cabinet maker, right?
Yep. For 26 years, I've had a small business, and
Yeah.
we've worked for everyone except the government.
But if a group of individuals come up to you and was putting up some kind of building, and they were, we don't even have to say what it is. We'll just say something you didn't believe in, something you didn't support. You have the right to refuse their business. Say, nah, I'm good. I don't do that. If
Yeah,
the
like
government
an
forced you
abortion,
to,
like an abortion clinic, or I'm sorry, if they were an abortion clinic said, we want you because we hear you build the best abortion clinic cabinetry on planet Earth. We want you to put cabinets in this place, and I said, I'm going to pass. Yeah, that would be kind of an example. Yeah, I want the
exactly,
right to refuse their
exactly,
business. Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's a good way to portray the point. You know, I mean, we may not agree with gay marriage, but we don't think somebody should be forced. We agree with their right to marry each other, but not to force somebody to marry them in a ceremony. I think I got that right.
Yeah, yeah. In my opinion, yeah, yeah.
Change direction here. Um, Truth Free says gay America celebrated all day today, but TPP is still secret? Question mark. I, I was actually going to make a video about the TPP and title it "The Reason I Haven't Talked About the TPP." If you notice, I haven't made a video about it. I haven't talked about it in the live shows. I haven't talked about it when I've sat on the panel for anybody else's show. And the reason being is because it doesn't matter. I know a lot of people are going to be, oh, what do you mean it doesn't matter? It does this, it does that. They were going to pass it. They were going to make sure it got passed. It's already out that there's people in Congress that got paid millions of dollars for their vote. The articles are out there. Just like NAFTA and GATT, this was going to get passed whether you and I wanted it to or not. And if it didn't get passed under Obama, it was guaranteed that Hillary Clinton was going to get in order for it to get passed. So not that it's not important. There's a lot of people out there talking about it, support them talking about it. Not that it's not important, but there's nothing that you or I could have done to get it to stop from being passed. Or passing, I should say. Not a damn thing. They were going to pass it one way or another. It's one of those things where, I felt like, I don't know, maybe I should have talked about it more and to inform people, but yeah, I felt like it was one of those things where it was like, damn, I can start riling people up about this. Not that they weren't already riled up. I can start riling people up about this, but it was going to pass one way or the other. It's going to pass one way or the other.
I'm afraid you're right, Matt. And it's publicly put out there how many millions of dollars was paid to these politicians. There wasn't a chance in hell that all this wasn't going to pass. Which is unfortunate that we don't have a voice, but and that's probably why they latched on to this Confederate flag thing and racism so hard to, get our eyes off the ball, because this is some serious stuff going on. But the money behind it is so great that there's probably I don't think it's quite passed yet, but there's probably not much hope that it won't pass. And the fact that they're passing a law that is classified, some of them 4 years, some of them 5 years, is just ridiculous. And but they're doing it. And if you haven't lost hope in the Republican Party by now, if you hadn't lost hope in the left-right paragraph, that's not the right word, whatever it is. If you think, Democrats are right, you think Republicans are right, if you don't see that they're on the same agenda by now, there ain't much hope for you either, because you can clearly see they're all on the same team, and it ain't our team, it's their team. They are all voting and looking out for the corporations, not the American people.
JD03 YouTube says wrong. You can call your senator, congressman. They are afraid of you. I'm not sure if he's trolling or if he's actually serious. Uh, I don't know. I guess TR, what do you think? I mean, do you really think that on a federal level, when it comes to something as big as this and the amount of money that's involved, that they're going to listen to you?
Well, unfortunately, I'm afraid not. I send them an email, and don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
do it. I vote, I send emails. But when a corporation gives them, $2 million, who are they going to listen to? Probably that company that gave them $2 million and said, "Hey, vote this way." I don't have $2 million to send them.
Yeah, I mean, we've all talked about that. How on a city and state level, sure, politics probably works. Your vote probably counts. While I would never discourage anybody from calling your senator or congressman, never, ever, ever discourage somebody from doing so. Um, if JD YouTube or whatever his name is talking about gun rights, is talking about a number of other things in that realm, I would most certainly agree with him. 110% I would. And most of you guys out there and some of you here in the panel have probably heard me do that. Say the same thing. But the TPP, like I said, NAFTA, GATT, back when that passed, things of this nature, they got no interest in what you have to say. Absolutely none. There is way too much money to be made on their end, and way too much control to be had on their end for them to give a flying shit what you think.
Politicians have one goal, and that's the same goal that most Americans have, and that's to keep their job. That's their primary goal, is to keep their job. When they feel like there's a point where they may lose that job, they might change their mind. Until that point, nothing matters to them. Absolutely nothing. That's just the way I see it. I see it very simply, and that's just me.
Well, yeah. I mean, they don't. I mean, Matt's obviously 100% right. It's all money, but they want to stay in as long as exactly. They're going to stay in as long as they can because that's their job, that's their livelihood, that's their everything, and not to be simple-minded or anything like that, but it's money talks and shit walks, and unfortunately that's exactly how you have to break it down. But if the country is a corporation, then it shouldn't be a surprise that the corporations are going to win because they got all the money. So, but you know what I'm saying? However, I do believe in writing your congressman, writing your senator.
Yeah.
You email him or her or whatever. That's fine. Especially, maybe the state senator even. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And just not give up. I mean, eventually.
Just because you know how the movie's going to end doesn't mean you shouldn't go watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself a chance. Give everybody a chance. Or at least have your opinion heard.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Exercise those rights, or they'll get lazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. In the House and the Senate, where you go in as an average American and you leave as a multimillionaire, I mean, it pretty much says it all,
Yep, absolutely. Now you see the problem I have, not to get off subject, but the problem I have about talking to my local, even the congressman here for Mass and senator, on gun rights. They don't. I'm in Massachusetts. I don't know if you knew that. I'm in Massachusetts, so they don't want guns here. So me doing that, and I still do it. My wife actually said that the state rep is good with that. Is on the gun side. Is on our side, and I says, well, I got to talk to her. I said so, and I guess they chat on Facebook all the time. So I says, well, I'm gonna have to friend her on Facebook and start instant messenger and go from there. I says because, at least it's another avenue I have. You know what I mean? To use.
Well, just like Matt said, I mean, on a local level, I think we do have a influence and we do have a voice. It's on the federal level that our voice seems to be lost. Um, it's a mountain that we're trying to dig at with a spoon to get our voice heard. But on the local level, maybe even state level, we can make a difference, and I think we should strive to try to make a difference.
I was gone for a minute, and I just want people to know that I'm going to repeat myself. I'm not saying don't call your congressmen, senators, and representatives. I would never say that. Just when it comes to certain issues, when it comes to certain issues like this, it's one of those things where you call them, do your thing, but know that they're going to pass it no matter what you say when it comes to this particular kind of situation.
It's going to fall on deaf ears, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it's a shame because, like you said, Matt, if one of us hits the lotto or whatever, and all of a sudden we have, $20 million in our bank account, and then people start listening to you. It's just a damn shame is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Fat Man made a comment out there. Yeah, I mean, you got to try. I mean, I still try. I work at it. I mean, even like I say, this TPP, all these trade bills, I know in my heart they're all gonna pass. But on my Facebook page and my emails sent out and all that shit, I'm against it. I'm trying to let people know about it. It's probably all for nothing, but in my heart, I still have to do it. I still have to do the right thing, whether it whether I accomplish anything or not. I know in my heart at the end of the day when I lay my head down at night that I did the right thing, that I did everything I could, and I can sleep well at night knowing that.
Yep. As little as I think I'm with you on that, and that I still do what I feel like I'm required to do as a good American. But it's definitely moving from the way it used to be, where you felt like you really could make a difference, or what you said or mattered, to your efforts are better spent working on yourself and your personal freedom and what you can do to put your family and yourself in a better spot. And it's almost like, that your effort is better spent elsewhere, I guess. I think TRU did a big campaign for Ron Paul, right, back when he was running for office.
Yeah, I
And
did.
that's a lot of energy you put in stuff like that, and it's the right thing to do. But when those efforts no longer seem to pay you back in any way, not to say you didn't get paid back in other ways, but you know what I'm saying. It's almost, you feel like, what's the point? I've really tried to come to terms with whether I can really not vote this time around. I've said I'm not going to. I'm trying to figure out if I can really pull that off. It's going to be tough. But I'm struggling with the idea. Does it really matter? And I got a lot of good friends here on YouTube that'll just tell me, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote. And I respect them. And it's just tough. It's just getting tough to really feel like it's worth it. Not at the state level now. I'm talking about the big election. And some people say that's fixed and rigged and predetermined, and I'm not so sure I'm there yet. But I just don't know if it really matters. I don't know.
Yeah, I have to say on the Ron Paul, not the 2008. I was just starting to kind of. I know some of us hate the term wake up then, but that was about the time I was waking up. But in 2012, I mean, seriously, I probably spent, I don't know, several $1,000s on the Ron Paul campaign uh, in different ways. Not just me buying stuff to put up around here, but I actually bought uh, flyers and things sent to other states through the meetup groups and stuff like that, and different avenues that wasn't the official, you know, Ron Paul campaign. These were independent people doing the campaign thing. And so that didn't count against Ron Paul as far as what I spent, because I went over what a individual could spend on a candidate, which was $2,000 at the time. I don't know if it's the same now or not, but if it wasn't through the official campaign, which most of Ron Paul stuff wasn't, I went through independent vendors and sent out flyers and mail and stuff. I mean, it was just a click of a mouse. I mean, I didn't have to actually sign and write out a letter to somebody. I could just click a button and say, "Yep, I want to buy that county," and for the entire county, I would send out flyers. It might only be $50, might be $100, might be $500, whatever it was. I spent a shitload of money. And in my heart, I knew it was all for nothing, but I was able to do it. It was within my financial means to do it, so I did everything I could. So at the end of the election process, not election, but the
Primaries.
primaries, I could sleep at night knowing that I did everything I could to promote Ron Paul because I thought he was our best hope.
Yeah,
And when it was over, it was like, well, you know what? I did everything I could.
that's right. Yeah.
And that's my sad story.
Well, you've done more than I've ever done to promote I guess a candidate on to that level. But I was really, my heart was really behind him. It really was, and I spoke as much as I could to my friends. I felt like you know the the best that I could do was just to talk to people that were near me, and I did the best that I could.
I had a Ron Paul yard sign stolen from my yard. That's my story.
Did they replace it with an Obama one?
Oh no! But I seriously considered putting bear traps out in my yard after that.
We had a local politicians running around here, selectmen or what have you, and they actually brought charges against one of them for having somebody do that, take the lawn signs off of people's lawns.
I was one of the
I'm like, are
assholes.
you kidding me?
Well, I won't say. Maybe you think I'm an asshole. I don't know. I was one of the guys that was running around at 3 o'clock in the morning, putting Ron Paul freaking posters and signs up on telephone poles at 3 o'clock in the morning. I would blanket an entire neighborhood.
Hey, you did your part though, and that's like you were saying. That's you did what you could, like you said. You did it financially. You did what you could do financially, and you did all the signs at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, what you know, you did more than I've done. That's for damn could be sure. I think
Well,
I think I only sent the guy $100. But
if half the people in this country for the last 200 years, 100 years at least, if half the people in this country had the conviction and drive that TR has when it comes to what he just told us, I don't think we'd be in the situation we're in. I really don't. We could have had this. We could have headed off at the pass. And that is all.
I'll second that.
well, I think the problem is we don't have people that we can get behind. I mean, the people they put before us, don't give us that conviction, that drive, that enthusiasm. If you got somebody, you know, doing a political run for office and they really invigorate you, you can get behind them. Our problem is we don't have those people, and that's unfortunate.
yeah, nobody jumps out at you. Nobody's.
Well, that's part of that's part. What Pops was saying earlier. That he's not. And correct me if I'm wrong. This was how I interpreted what you said, Pops. But the way I interpreted what Pops said was he's not ready to admit that the POTUS is chosen for us. Is that, or come to terms with that reality? Is that, am I about right there, Pops?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know the way the electoral college is set up is, I mean, it's sort of predetermined, I suppose, but I don't know if it's predetermined. So I guess I don't know at what level it's screwed up to, I guess is a better way to put it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and the reason I brought your comment up is because it ties into what these guys were just saying right now, is that nobody is propped up in front of us to rally behind. So even if you, not just you, but anybody, aren't ready to either admit to, come to terms with, or believe that the POTUS is chosen, um, there is only certain people that we're allowed to choose from. So in a sense, they are already chosen, because these are the people that the establishment, here's all these people, the establishment wouldn't mind any one of these people getting in by fluke chance. And that's why, and that's why you've probably heard before how Ron Paul slipped through the cracks. Ron Paul made it in to the point of almost getting elected, and that's why at the RNC they had to head him off. At the RNC they screwed him. And we'll never see that again. We'll never see somebody like Ron Paul or who was it that was he running against Clinton, I think? Man, I can't think of the guy's name. But
the old billionaire there?
the old guy, what's his name?
The billionaire, right? Ross Perot?
Ross
You
Perot.
know,
Yeah, we'll never see another Ross Perot. We'll never see another Ron Paul because the establishment won't let us choose from that pool. So maybe let's just hypothetically say that the actual individual isn't chosen, isn't predetermined who's going to be the president. But we're only allowed to pick from a certain pool that they decide we're allowed to pick from. So in a sense, one of those people were chosen to be president, and we're given the illusion of choice.
Yeah, I see that. It's almost as if you're giving a death row inmate the option of which way do you want to die, basically.
Yeah.
I'll just take the least painful one, which is how we vote, the least painful way.
that's actually a disturbed but actual pretty accurate point of view. You know, people say, "Well, I'm just choosing the lesser of two evils." Well, the lesser of two evils. Well, why is that my choice? The lesser of two evils. But that's what they give us. They give us a choice between two evils, and it's like, which one do you want? You know, both of them's going to kill you in some way or form or fashion. You know, but which way do you want it?
Yeah, I guess that was pretty extreme, but it gets the point across, you know. And I agree with it. I think Matt, I think you're right. I think I didn't really see it exactly like you were saying, but yeah, I think that is the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I've, you know, not just me, but I'm sure others, and I hope I'm wrong, but uh, right now it looks like Hillary and Bush are some of the leaders that we're going to get to choose from. And if anybody's half-assed awake, if that's all we got to choose from, we're in trouble. It could be somebody else. I don't know, but right now, Hillary's kind of having some problems with some dirt and stuff going on, but in the end, she'll probably get the nomination.
Yeah,
And
do me a favor and don't use the word Hillary and Bush in the same sentence if you don't mind. It makes me it's a terrible thing to just have to deal with in my mind. So
yeah, it's nauseating, isn't it?
while I agree with you, because you know, obviously they're the two with the most money. I believe, and not that I'm going to vote for him or anything like that, but just from what I'm reading up here. Now I don't know what he's doing across the rest of the country, but I believe what's his name there from the old senator there from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. I think he might ruffle Hillary's feathers a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like come closer than she wanted him to come, if that's a good way of putting it.
Well, I would vote for Bernie Sanders before I would Jeb Bush.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you there.
I mean, I don't know the entire voting history of Bernie Sanders, but what little bit I know of him, he's kind of says what he feels for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I may not agree with everything he does, but at least I'll know where he's coming from. Hillary Clinton or a Jeb Bush, there's some shady son of bitches that I don't trust anything that comes out of their mouth. You know, with at least with Bernie Sanders, I can kind of know ahead of time what he's doing. You know.
you want a good laugh, actually a good laugh, and say, "Attaboy." The governor up in Maine, he's had enough with politicians and politics and everything like that. So he didn't really want to play the game. He doesn't want to play the game anymore, you know. Um, he actually came out. There's a few clips on YouTube on it. He actually came out and he said, if he doesn't like whatever they say, he's going to veto every single solitary thing that they bring up. So guess what he did? He's vetoing everything they bring up. But the SOBs banded together. They needed a 2/3 vote, and they're getting their 2/3 vote to override the veto. But he's making, in my opinion, he's making a point. You know, he's not gonna. He wants people to know that he wants the crap to stop. You know, so I give the guy credit for at least trying. You know.
If I was going to vote for a Democrat, which I don't claim to be a Republican, I just kind of lean that way.
Right.
Would probably be David Kenrich. He was from Ohio. Somebody help me out if I'm mispronouncing his name. He was really in line with Ron Paul on a lot of things. I'm not saying that I agree with everything he done, but overall, I mean, he seemed to be a very strict constitutionalist to at least to a point. You know, I liked a lot of things he said. You know, I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm not saying that he said everything right, but as far as, you know, when you're talking left, right, Democrat, Republican, if I listened to a Democrat, I was listening to him. I think he had a lot of good things to say.
Yep.
I don't want dead air, so I'll keep talking.
I would help you out, but I don't know the guy, so.
Well, you know, and
He's
maybe
not.
it's sad. I watch a lot of video from different points of view and do research, but instead of watching TV, that's what I do. I watch videos.
I'm trying to think of his name, TR. I can't do it. So I'm going to look it up instead.
It was
Mike,
big.
I'm listening.
I think he said it was Bigfoot.
It was.
Was it a Bigfoot? Nice. I like Bigfoots.
Make sure you get a blurry picture of it. That's all I ask.
Yeah, that's a story for another day.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying it was Bigfoot.
Just get some crappy video. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not crystal clear or anything like that.
We was talking about presidential hopefuls and all that. Let's see, where is it? It says Ben Carson. Politically Incorrect says Ben Carson would be an honest president. I think I wouldn't vote for Ben Carson if you paid me.
Ben Carson.
That guy is such a two-faced hypocrite. His worst thing is his stance on guns. Oh, I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm pro-Second Amendment. Unless you live in a big city, then I don't think you should own guns. That's his stance on gun rights. That everybody should have gun rights unless you live in a big city.
Right.
Well, that's the problem with a lot of the candidates that we see. I mean, even Rand Paul. Trust me, if I can find a half-assed candidate to vote for, I'll vote for them, whoever it is, over Rand Paul, because Rand Paul's a flip flopper. He is not that the apple fell far from the tree. He is not Ron Paul, and I will not vote for Rand Paul because he's a flip flopper. I don't trust him.
Well, there's always Donald Trump, you know? I mean,
Well, at least he's a businessman and not a lawyer.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
but
you don't
he'll
if you
get.
don't want a politician, that's your choice. What is Donald Trump's stance on gun control? Does anybody know? I've never
Donald
heard.
Trump has a horrible stance on gun control.
Oh, okay, all right. I
He
didn't
is
I didn't know. So
yeah, he's pro gun control. He's made state. Of course, he doesn't have a voting record, so it's hard to find the stuff because you can't go to like ontheissues.com and all that. Because he doesn't have, he's not been a politician, so he doesn't have the voting record. But he's been quoted several times saying anti-gun remarks about semi-automatic rifles, the scary assault weapons, um, these sort of things.
well, if we could just get him to buy a few gun companies, then he'd probably change his opinion on that.
I think we're all going to have to, since we voice our opinion so much, and I've seen people kind of talking about it in the external. Eventually, all of us are going to have to start running for office, even local. I don't give a damn what it is. It's be like TR Prepper for the waterworks division, whatever it is. I think we're all going to have to start getting more involved eventually, even though I don't want to. But I almost think we ain't got much choice because somebody's got to do something. And maybe talking about it ain't enough. Maybe we need to be a little bit more active about it. I don't know.
Maybe that's why they
Well,
used to call it public service. The good old days where the farmers used to come and represent and then go back to handling business,
put it to you this way: I asked a woman after the town meeting one night, "How do you get on the open space committee on the town for my town?" So I'm shooting the breeze with her and da 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 da. I said, "So is that an appointment or is that how does that happen?" She says, "Yep, that's an appointment." And I says, "Well, how does one go about getting appointed?" She goes, "You from Drake?" I said, "Yeah, I live in Drake." She what she said to me just like this. She goes, "No, are you from Drake?" And I went, "Oh." And she just gave me the look. I went, "Oh, you had to put all the generations of people that were born in this town in there first, and then the people who join later, maybe, So I'm like, you got to be kidding me."
Yeah, that was one of those. Are you pregnant, or are you just pregnant?
Right. So.
Okay, here's a quote. This is Donald Trump. "I generally oppose gun control, but I support the ban on assault weapons, and I support a longer waiting period to purchase a gun."
Isn't long enough as it is.
That's
Okay,
it.
he's out.
Yep.
It's probably the best you got, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, you really don't have much.
Well, like I said, it's hard when they're not already a politician. It's hard to get some of these things. But anybody who supports the assault weapon ban is out of my. I really don't care what of the other 9 amendments of the Bill of Rights their stance is on. If they're for taking my gun rights away, they can go
Kiss my ass.
kiss my ass. Go play in the highway.
Yep. In me, I'm looking for the people that are going to fight for our gun rights. I don't care if they're Democrat, Republican. I don't care what the hell they are. That's why I voted for the Republican governor we have here in Massachusetts. One of the reasons. You know, that one, and plus he's like, you know, and he votes with the NRA like 95% of the time, so can't be all that bad.
I don't know if I can tell you the last person I voted for that won.
Well, that's because you're voting for the good guys, apparently.
I mean, how about you guys? I mean, maybe at a state level, I don't know.
Well,
I guess here in this state, at the state level, you can still kind of vote Republican and be okay, you know. But I don't know. I can't. It's just tough. It's a tough question to answer, I guess.
Matt told me never to repeat who I voted for on air ever again, so I can't tell you who I voted for.
Okay.
You have to let me, you know, save a little bit of respect for you, Mike. You just can't remind me of who you voted for. I've only ever voted for three people, and that was Ross Perot, Ron Paul, and Johnson, Gary Johnson.
I voted for.
I almost voted for Gary Johnson. I got sucked into that voting for against somebody instead of for somebody thing, and it didn't work out so good. So
you voted for Mitt Romney.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. God bless your heart.
Well, I mean, you know, it happens millions of times, obviously.
Oh, I know. I just couldn't do it. I would vote. I would vote for the homeless guy before I would ever vote for Mitt Romney.
But the homeless guy wasn't on the ballot.
He should have been a write-in. But
yeah, I made that mistake. I even made a video about it. I mean, I
live here in Massachusetts, and I'm going to tell you something. He was a dink. Actually, he still is a dink, but you know.
I mean, he created Massachusetts healthcare system, right?
No, he didn't really. To be honest with you, what he did was he took Ted Kennedy was trying to get healthcare in the state like that for a long time. Okay, and so what he did was, you know, after 10, of course, you know, Kennedy's on his way out and he was dying and the whole nine and all that. He took it, he twisted, he turned it to what he liked or whatever, and he pushed it through. And of course it was easy to do because, you know, Kennedy still had all his people in there, you know what I mean? And they all knew. My thing with him is that when he was on the campaign trail and even in the debates, he would say something. He would say it over and over and over again. He'd say, you know, I was a Republican in a Democratic state. You know, I was outnumbered. You know, and I had to work with them people. I have to work with them people. Well, no shit. That's your job. You know, I mean, you wouldn't have got nothing done. Not that he did anything done really, other than healthcare. But again, he's really not all that responsible for the healthcare. I mean, he is because he was a governor. No one's going to stand me, but.
Yeah, no, that just goes to show you when you don't live in the state, you get the talking points and that's it. So.
Right. You know, but he wasn't governor, I don't think, a month, and big write-up in the local papers around here. Well, you know, Boston Globe and all that. That he asks the New Hampshire and I want to say it was New Hampshire and Vermont. It might have been New Hampshire and Maine. Not to put casinos in. He didn't want to see casinos in. I'm like, really? You're really going to ask 2 other states not to put casinos in? I'm trying to figure out why, you know. And I'm like, if they want to put casinos, let them put a casino in. You know, if it passes, you know, I mean, put it to the people. If the people want it, the people vote for it. People don't want it, they'll vote, you know, whichever way it goes. Yeah, he was a thing from the get-go.
I'll tell you what, I think it was 2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago now, that Ohio passed gambling laws in the state. Built 3 or 4 casinos and opened up a racetrack or two, something like that. And the people that were against that, holy crap, the things they came up with to be against it for. It was going to raise the crime rate in Ohio. There's going to be prostitution like this, somehow or another, a casino, you know, what increases the prostitution rate in a state. Uh, Moral degradation of the state, but now you don't hear those people saying that same thing because Ohio is making so much money off these casinos, and not to mention 4 new casinos. I don't know how many each employ, but that's brand new jobs in the state. Plus the racetrack. Racetracks have a lot of employees. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. If
The
people want to
exact
throw their money away, they can throw their money away. I gamble occasionally, but if people want to throw their money away, let them do it.
the exact same arguments, Matt, are for here in Massachusetts. They passed it here in Massachusetts. I think there's something screwy though in the one in Massachusetts because I don't see any card tables, so it's more like slots, video games, pull tab poker, pull tab whatever. You know, you pull like a scratch ticket actually. Um, the video racing games.
Yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 different kinds of like gambling laws. There's
Right.
like racetrack laws. There's full-on casino with cards and craps and of course video poker, and then there's just the video gambling. I'm not exactly sure how they separate each one and what the wording is, but I think there is differences there.
Yeah, and that's and like I said, the arguments of the crime and the prostitution and everything else, and I'm like, hey, first of all, get the crank. What's gonna happen is it's like I said to my old man, I goes, Dad, look what's gonna happen. I go, they're gonna take the crack whores that are out in the street swinging their purse that are like uglier than sin, and they're gonna bring in like the $500 an hour call girl. I says that's not a hooker. That's a call girl. That's two separate things. They're kind of pretty. But yeah, that was the same argument everywhere.
Well, I
You know,
think as far as the gambling halls or whatever you want to call them, like if you go up to Cherokee, North Carolina, where they have gambling and casinos, or at least a casino, if you go in there, it's all senior citizens.
Well, you
So it's
remember
like,
back,
oh yeah, you're worried about the crime rate because you're having gambling. You go in there and it's all senior citizens.
I'll go down to I'll shoot down to Connecticut, and they got Foxwoods down in Connecticut. That's a full-on casino. It's like a mini Vegas. There's that one in Mohegan Sun, not too far from there. Still in Connecticut. And they're full on. They have everything that you can get. Whatever you can get out in Vegas, they have shows. They got it all. And they said, "Oh, they're losing business." I said, "Losing business?" Because every time I get on there, that place is packed. You can't move. You know, I don't see how they're losing business. I mean, and they got decent shows in there too. You know, but they don't look at the jobs that's gonna help. They're just looking at they want to look at the negative instead of the positives. And when you do that, you know.
yeah, we're down here in the Bible Belt, and you remember TR when they went to bring the lottery to South Carolina. I mean, the lottery was going to bring the devil to everyone's doorstep. I mean, it was just going to destroy the state. It was unbelievable, you know. I've never given actually, I played the lottery like twice since it's been here. It's got to get up to like 400 million before I'll buy a ticket, because I mean it's just it's a money collection is all it is. But And I mean, now they got every kid that wants a scholarship gets one. You know, I mean, it's just funny how it does. It's totally opposite. You know, I don't know what crime. I mean, I've never seen anyone beat somebody up over a lottery ticket. I don't know where all the crime is from the lottery. I'd love to. I'd love for someone that had that argument back then to get back up now and show us all that crime. Back checking your data is important. You know, when you run a business and you figure you got 30% profit in something, a year later you have to go back and back check that data to make sure you did, or you lose your money and go broke. But they don't seem to do that. It's like, well, that argument didn't work. It passed, so now we'll see you later. On to the next big thing. You know.
And I don't know how it is down there, Pops, where you're at in the lower part of the state, but up here, churches do bingo games, and there's like huge events, and they do bingo games. I mean, you pay a price for a card or cards, and you can win money. That's okay.
Right.
And these are inside churches.
It's fundraising, baby.
Yeah.
It's fundraising.
But that's not gambling.
No.
Yeah.
Gambling's walking out in the middle of the highways here anymore. It's getting crowded, and it's getting bad down here.
Well, the other thing is that people say, well, what about those that have a gambling problem and you're just, I go, hey, I don't drink, but I ain't pissing them off. There's a fucking package store every fucking 30 feet in my friggin' town. Who cares? You'll get over it.
Yeah, gambling, the real gambling addicts sit in their house and do it on the internet. They don't have to leave their freaking house. They ain't going to the freaking corner store and buying lottery tickets. That's not their bag.
I mean, you'll see them. I've seen people. I mean, I'll go in and get one with the corner store up here where I am has a little Subway attached inside of it. They got Keno, and of course I got all the scratch tickets. So as they're waiting for the Keno, they buy $100 worth of scratch tickets. And like some lady, she says, "Oh, I won." I say, "Hey, what's your hit?" I'm in there buying smokes. I'm like, "What's your hit?" She was 300. I said, "That's good." So now you're only down what, 10 grand?
Well, I'll tell you what. If I want to gamble, I'll do one of two things. I'll
get married and
eat at McDonald's. Or buy an AR-15.
There you go.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, we got him to talk.
Oh, Sham is here tonight? Oh, your microphone's working.
That's ate the fuck up. Sure, I'll comment on the last couple hours. National, federal, gun, whatever, like the thing today probably won't happen until at least 2021, 2022 at a minimum. I don't vote. I support casinos. I visit them regularly. And I'm not elderly. There you have it.
He just summed up the last hour and a half of conversation in like 45 seconds.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't vote, because some people find this interesting. The first time I trained with any special operations guys, I was going to an island in the Pacific to support S.H.T.F during a coup, which we never ended up doing. And one of the guys that was training us he was never really my friend, but he was a professional associate who I learned a lot from, and I realized I was actually going essentially to war. So I wanted to learn how to dissociate emotions and feelings and opinions from being able to follow orders and eventually possibly give orders. And when I settled with that, one of the things I learned was how it's not just military commanders or officers who give order. It's not just the president. I mean, there's certain committees within Congress that have a very large effect on operations, sometimes authorize them. Senators as well as representatives. Some things in the military, without going through the full military chain of command, report to them. And I've had to deal with some of those things. So I decided that you don't vote for your military commanders. You just don't, and which I don't think you ever should. I realized there's a lot of those people that, whether I specifically vote for them or not, even if I did, they potentially could be in some of these areas and have an effect on the missions I had to do. And I took a moral stance, probably the only real moral thing I did, because I just don't follow morals, that I didn't think it was right, at least for me, to make decisions on the type of people that may affect the missions I did, where I could either blame them or blame myself or praise one or the other due to the outcome of the mission or who died or whatever success was. And I just didn't think it was right for me to get politically involved in the way military operations were conducted. So I just didn't vote. The only time I did vote was on a local thing, had to do with a power company in a place I lived for a few years. And I've maintained that until I know that I'm 100% completely out of any possible association with the government. So I won't even be, for what I decided to follow through with, I wouldn't even be in a position to consider voting until just before the elections next year, which I won't vote in, because I purposely am not paying attention to any of that stuff, and I won't have enough time. And honestly, I don't know that I ever will vote, but that's why I don't vote. It's a fairly unique thing, and I've only met a couple other guys in the military that ever made a similar decision.
Yeah, but the kids that play, 5-year-old soccer, they don't keep score either, but they know who won at the end of the game.
Yeah, I voted for the asshole that sent me to fucking war in Desert Storm, unfortunately.
I'd ask you how that worked out for you, but I won't be that wise ass like that.
And not too good. Well, I'm still here. I'm still kicking, so I guess it kind of worked out.
In
But
the end, it worked out, but
in the end, it worked out. But I didn't appreciate it.
right. It's like my wife's kind of mad at me because my son wants to go in the army, and I said, okay, and he says, but I don't want to. I have a nephew that's in the what do you call it? The guards, I guess. And he said, I don't want to do that. He said, I want to go in full time. I said, okay. I says, come time, next spring. Went on, because he's a senior and he'll be a senior in September. I said, go on, you'll have to take your ASVAB test and all that happy horse shit, and we'll go from there. Now I got the wife up my ass. You're gonna let him join for full? What's wrong with you? Da, 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 da. The boy wants to do what the boy wants to do. I said, I'm not gonna talk him out of it. So that's the battle I'm having now with the wife. She is pissed off at me like the end of like there's no end to the world. Like there's gonna be an end to the world.
Well, as a formal military man, I actually don't suggest anybody join the military. But if you was going to join the military, I would lean toward Navy or Air Force. No offense to anybody, and any Marines and Army out there will probably understand where I'm coming from, but I would, if you had your heart set on joining the military, I would go Air Force or Navy, because they're putting our forces, they're putting our men and women in bad situations they don't need to be in, and not for the right reasons. And so in the Navy and Air Force, they may have a better position not to get hurt. That's just my opinion.
I agree. To some degree, though, the modern soldier is a mercenary, because if you sign a contract, I went in the National Guard. I was 11 Bravo. I trained as an infantryman, but I was a weekend warrior, and I never saw combat. And got out when I got out. I was a Bradley gunner, and I took my job seriously. And when I was in, there was a potential chance that we could have gone over there. But when we went to determine what MOS we were going to, was going to be our what I wanted to do, the bonuses that you got for certain things and what you could get for being a mechanic or being this or that versus being an infantryman, it didn't compare. So the money is what brings them. I mean, they base the bonuses on if they need that type of soldier. They'll just keep paying more and more bonuses and make sure they always have enough soldiers. I mean, that's that simple.
Yeah, and like he wants to be a cop, right? Like my brother's a cop. He wants to be a cop. And my brother told him, he says, you want to be a cop, you can go to 8 years of college all you want. He says, they're going to take a veteran before they're going to take anybody. And we were trying to get him to go in the Navy TR, but my thing is that I wasn't able to serve. And when my nephew went in, they gave him, a runaround, so to speak. But they didn't know that they were talking with my brother, who was still in the reserves. He did 6 years in the Navy, and then, he did left the Navy, went in the Air Force reserves. So, he knew the game that the recruiter was playing. And, he told my nephew, oh, we couldn't do this, can't do that. And just so happened the next morning they got a phone call. Hey, we have one slot open, Now he's a medic. He loves it. But those are the things that I won't know that's happening to me. So I'm going to bring my kid brother with me, you know what I mean? So hopefully
Well, Mike, if you want to serve, if you'd like to enlist, I'm sure you can talk to your old buddy Barack and he'll get you in. Just show him your voting form, and he'll be like, "Oh, you voted for me? Yeah, sure, I'll get you in there."
I thought you left. I thought you left. Look, I only voted for him once.
That's all it took, buddy.
And I can't even tell you on live here why I voted for him. But I know. We all make mistakes, Matt. I have no problem admitting my mistakes.
Well, that's the first step.
It won't happen ever again. Well, it can't anyway, but you know what I'm saying?
I hate to do this, guys and gals out there in the comment section, but I think I need to go ahead and end this. It's getting late. Some of us have to get up in the morning and stuff. And Mike, if Obama had done everything he said he was going to do, he would have been a great president.
Probably.
But unfortunately, like all of them, they don't.
Well, that's because they can't. But
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they put them behind that damn. They pull them in that room, open the little shutter, and play the video, and it's like, okay, this is what you're going to do. And they hold a gun to his head and say, you're going to do this, 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 and this. That's why they're all puppets. That's just my opinion. But anyway. But I'm going to give everybody a chance to do an outro. I'll start with Matt. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, TR, thanks for having me on tonight. There's a lot of good conversation, man. It's a little different than most chats. You just kind of let the flow go where it was going to go, and yeah, it was good. Congratulations on your first complete chat, even though Googled you once and you had to jump back in. And but yeah, Yeah, appreciate you having me on, and I'm just wondering if Hillary Clinton already has her thank you letter written out to Mike DeLucia for his
Hey, hey, hey,
future
hey!
vote.
Don't talk about my girl like that. She's purty.
Hey, Pops, you want to do an outro, my friend?
I won't call it an outro, but I'll just say thanks. My first one I've ever done. Enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Anyone that left, I didn't follow any of the comments in the chat, so I apologize for that because that's my first one. But enjoyed it, and thank you.
Sorry, I was trying to type. It's a lot harder to do this when you're the host. Trying to orchestrate it. Mikey, do your outro, my friend. Max, I don't know if you're doing your chat tonight or not. If you are, go ahead and announce it.
Um, Actually, I am. As soon as we get off of here, I'm going to do it. Um, but before all that, Tia, first of all, I hate when Matt speaks for me because he did. Um, Good for you. Great chat. 57, 56, whatever the hell the number was. Freaking good for you. That's awesome. I'm glad I was here for it. And Matt is also correct again. I hate telling him he's right, but he was. It was a good flow of the chat. I know I had to disappear for a little while. I had to take the wife to work, but it was a great chat. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And for those people that stay up late, come over to my channel and enjoy another chat. So with that, I'll be quiet. Good night, and thank you again, Tia.
It's always an honor to speak to you, Mike. Uh, always appreciate your opinion and enjoy hanging out with you, man. I got to work tomorrow, or I would join in your chat. But as soon as I sign off here, I'm going to go to bed. So, but everybody go check out Mike DeLucia. Uh, have you said anything on the external chat so people can find your channel? If you hadn't, pop something in there so
Yeah,
they'll.
I'll type my name and I'll say hi or something real quick.
Yeah, type something in there so they can find you real easy. And Shammer, let's talk about yourself there for a minute, buddy.
Oh, there's nothing exciting about me.
He cracked me up.
It was fun being on the panel and not talking. It's good times. That's all I got.
Come on, man. Next time we have to be more controversial. I mean, ain't it fun when we bang heads a little bit?
Sometimes it is, Yeah. We'll pick something. We can have a Shammer TR, I don't know, round one, round two, whatever. Hangout
Well,
deathmatch.
well, I'm not saying that me and you had to, bang heads, but just bang heads with somebody on the panel.
No, nobody else is a challenge.
Wow. I
Well,
love
I got a bad habit of when I think I'm right, I dig my heels in and I don't give. It's probably a fault of mine, but at least if I think I'm right, I fight to the death for it.
Yeah. Can
Well,
I interrupt
admitting
you
you have the problem is half of the solution.
Tia, can I interrupt you for 1 second? You just said you dig your heels in. Now you're choking a chicken and now you're wearing high heels? I'm just I'm just asking, brother. Just asking.
It's how you get your traction in the garden, the dirt's a little soft. You got to go deep. Cleats don't cut it. You
Yeah, you
have to
gotta dig
stick
your
some
heels
clips.
in. Them damn chickens are fast, man.
Oh,
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and thanks, guys. I mean, seriously, I do appreciate all of y'all coming on here and supporting my first chat as a host. As many as chats as I've been on, I am definitely a chat whore for no doubt. But this is the first one I've hosted, and I appreciate you guys coming in and supporting me and helping me out. And with that, I'm going to end it. So, see you guys in the comments. Thanks for stopping by and being part of it. And thank you guys for coming in here and helping me out. Later, everybody.